10 historical figures you didn't know had serious mental disorders. Abraham Lincoln. Contemporaries described Abraham Lincoln's periods of profound sadness and even suicidal thoughts as melancholy. Today, we know that America's 16th president was actually battling clinical depression. The condition, coupled with anxiety attacks, ran in his family and plagued him from a very young age, when he was still simply a young lawyer in Illinois. As his law partner, William Henderson, once said, his melancholy dripped from him as he walked. Nikola Tesla. According to contemporary research reported by organizations like the International OCD Foundation and National Geographic, Serbian inventor Nikola Tesla suffered from severe obsessive-compulsive disorder throughout his adult life. As National Geographic writes, he loathed jewelry and round objects and wouldn't touch hair. He was obsessed with the number 3 and polished every dining implement he used to perfection, using 18 napkins. Vincent van Gogh. As the American Journal of Psychiatry writes, Dutch painter Vincent van Gogh had an eccentric personality and unstable moods, suffered from recurrent psychotic episodes during the last 2 years of his extraordinary life, and committed suicide at the age of 37. Despite limited evidence, well over 150 physicians have ventured a perplexing variety of diagnoses of his illness. Those diagnoses, according to the journal, include depression, bipolar disorder, epilepsy, but also schizophrenia, which may have run in his family. However, other writers and physicians have since disputed this diagnosis. Adolf Hitler. Perhaps more than any other figure in history, Adolf Hitler both elicits infinite diagnoses of possible mental disorders and renders any definitive conclusions about said diagnoses all but impossible to attain. As elusive as definitive conclusions may be, that hasn't stopped a veritable subfield concerned with Hitler's possible psychopathology from springing up. Dozens of physicians and writers who either knew Hitler personally or studied him posthumously have advanced possible diagnoses of everything from schizophrenia to narcissistic personality disorder to sadistic personality disorder to antisocial personality disorder to Asperger's syndrome. Vladimir Putin. In 2015, several major news outlets gained access to a secret 2008 Pentagon study that claimed that Russian leader Vladimir Putin may have autism, specifically Asperger's syndrome. A team of doctors studied Putin's movement patterns and defensive behavior in large social settings to ultimately conclude that his neurological development was significantly interrupted in infancy by some tragic event and that he now carries a neurological abnormality. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. He created some of the most sophisticated music ever written, yet is also well known for some of the most vulgar scatology you'll ever read. Indeed, many now know that the letters, biographies, and unofficial compositions of Austrian composer Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart are filled with references to feces, buttocks, and the like. And what some medical journals have now suggested is that these vulgar preoccupations, along with his vocal and motor tics, indicate that Mozart had Tourette's syndrome. Jack Kerouac. When beat poet and novelist Jack Kerouac reported for duty in Rhode Island after joining the Navy in 1943, his superiors noticed his odd behavior and quickly transferred him from the training station to the Naval Hospital. There, doctors noted that neuropsychiatric examination disclosed auditory hallucinations, ideas of reference and suicide, and a rambling, grandiose, philosophical manner, diagnosed him with dementia praecox, schizophrenia, and discharged him on psychiatric grounds. Joseph Stalin. While Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin numbers among the tyrannical world leaders that researchers have later tried to diagnose with clinical narcissism, he also appears to have exhibited paranoid personality disorder. Both historians and medical journal writers have suggested that, perhaps stemming from the childhood abuse he received from his drunken father, Stalin developed a clinical paranoia that informed his more terroristic acts as dictator decades later. Charles Darwin. Many know that English scientist Charles Darwin sailed to the Galapagos Islands and elsewhere aboard the HMS Beagle in 1831, during which time he gathered evidence that would help him formulate the theory of evolution. Few, however, know that after Darwin returned from that voyage, he very seldom left home and lived as a recluse for the rest of his life. The reason, according to recent research published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, Darwin suffered from agoraphobia and panic disorder. Had it not been for this illness, suggests the research, his theory of evolution might not have become the all-consuming passion that produced On the Origin of Species. Michelangelo. Current scholarship published in medical journals and elsewhere suggests that Renaissance artist Michelangelo had both obsessive-compulsive disorder and high-functioning autism, namely Asperger's syndrome. The evidence, writes the Journal of Medical Biography, relates to his single-minded work routine, unusual lifestyle, limited interests, poor social and communication skills, and issues of life control.